Welcome to Cut Content and Retro Games, aka the official panel of the cutting room floor. Welcome, everybody. I will answer any questions from raised hands in a moment. I have just barely gotten started. If you're wondering who I am, I will get to that in a moment. So anyway, a little about myself then. I am Rick Fox, aka Rick, one of the staff members of the cutting room floor. I've been a longtime staff member of the site probably since about 2010, right a little bit after its initial conception in the fall of 2009. Unfortunately, now I've kind of legacy, so I don't really do the day-to-day stuff. Don't ping me about moderator stuff. Please ping one of the other ones. As I mentioned, I work full-time, and I also have a webcomic as a small business, Project Starlight. But video games have always been a big passion for me, and I've always had an interest in just like the stuff behind the scenes as soon as I started finding out about it, with like Game Genie, stuff like that, popping up, debug mode, stuff like that. So it's always been a very big interest of mine over the years, as well as collecting. Yeah, pretty much that's kind of me in a nutshell. I at least do some promotions, so the cards in front of you have been done on my own dime and time, so please take one. Please hang on to it. If you would like more, I have plenty more. Just ask. I make them for a living. So anyway, as we get started, you're not really here to listen to me ramble. You are here to listen to me talk about cut content. Let's cut to it. Oh, I almost forgot. A little bit of housekeeping real quick. First off, open Q&A. I will gladly answer. I'd like to gladly answer questions. Raise your hand. I will do that to the best of my ability. I would rather try to answer the question as best I can than try to plow through all my material, because that's not how I roll. I have plenty of material, and I can always save it for later. Two, if you do have to go, open door policy. If you got to run off somewhere or something like that, it's a convention. I get it. I sincerely appreciate you just spending some of your precious convention time here with me talking about video games nonstop, blah, 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 blah. So with that in mind, let's get to some cut content finally. After much strife and working on it, so I'll kind of get started. I like to kind of work on debug modes. Is anyone familiar with the term or not familiar with it? Familiar? Very familiar. Okay. Cool. For those who are not, debug modes are essentially tools that the developers can use to test games. Just test the game, make sure they're working, essentially knock out the bugs. Debug. Hey, novel concept. It varies wildly depending on the game, on what they have in there, what they use. Debug tools for, say, Mario 2 could be vastly different from Mario 3, for example, which we're going to be getting to in a moment, and can take very, very many different forms. So I'd like to start with a classic that you've never heard of before in your life. Super Mario Bros. 3.
Heard of this?
Lies!
I was just
kid.
playing it earlier downstairs on the NES. Front loader. I had to blow on the cartridge first.
Thank you for helping clean my NES.
Yours?
Yes.
Nice.
My NES is on loan for this convention. Please treat it nicely. But anyway, Mario 3. So, who here has not heard of a Game Genie before? Okay, so back before we had fancy emulator cheats and stuff like that, we had a little thing that we'd put in the cartridge called the Game Genie, and we could input cheats, and so it's almost like a little password that corresponds with like changing values in the coding. So with one line of a Game Genie code, we have access to Mario 3's debug mode. And I actually used to talked a little bit with the person who originally found it and released it on an old website of mine back in 2000-ish. So what we have here is right on the title screen, we already have stuff. It's a little hard to see, but it's there. So what we have here, when I move up and down, see that little cursor that looks like a Pokeball or potentially Mario's butt? This is a world select. So we can start from any world in the game already. So it's almost like a menu that you can't really see the words to or whatever like that. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You can still select 1 or 2 players here. But also, if I press the A button here, notice how the R changed in the corner? Bink. So every time I press the A button, I get 5 more lives added to my life counter all the way to 99. And so, with that in mind, somebody call out, give me a number between 1 through 8. First one.
7.
7. So I saw your hand go up first. All right, so World 7. Let's go. So we're on the map screen now, no big deal here, but we press B. Notice how we already have a very full inventory. So what we have here is 1 of every item in the game, except for the warp whistles, we have 2. And then for here, we have 2 rows of P-Wings here. So that might seem a little bit weird, but consider, you know how Mario can fly around all over. The devs can use a P-Wing and it's like a free movement mode almost, so they can fly around and check out various things in the levels. Yes?
Kind of like the edit mode in Sonic 1's debug. I actually added that with my Genesis when I used to have it.
Yes! Good point. So let's get in. Let's get in here, and let's get started in the game. And what? Huh? What's going on here? So when I press select, you actually have a power-up toggle. So you can pick any power-up in the game, regardless of if you can get it in that world or not. I like Hammer Brother Mario. Let's do Hammer Brothers. Yeah, I mean, who wants to be a Hammer Brother? I know that's an aspiration in life for me. Yes?
Did you know at Nintendo, would this have been done by just, like, flashing a different ROM to a cart, or did they have, like, their own version of the game? Because I'm guessing they were using GameCube too.
Well, they could kind of program it in as they're working with the data, so they may not have necessarily had to use the flash cards. They can just use their own, like development stuff like that, and just go. There we go. Yes.
Like in that one scene in Tetris, the movie, where they had the Game Boy hooked up with a ribbon cable to an IBM PC.
Yes. Oh. No problem.
What are you, immortal?
Kind of. I mean, as long as I can switch back to my power-up or whatever I want in time, I don't get killed. Haha. Now, so if I hold... I don't think people want to hear that, Koopa. You're power down. But if we hold A and then press select... Look familiar, anybody?
Like the boot?
Yeah, yes! We have the shoe. So we can actually activate the shoe anytime we want. The graphics are scrambled because certain enemies have to be loaded in order for the graphics to look, because they're kind of in the same like graphical bank and stuff. But you can use the shoe anytime you want, except in 5.3. Like, outside of 5.3, rather. So... there we go. And if we lose it, we just get another one, like we did earlier. And there, oh hey, there we go. It is not fun to jump on those note blocks. So a fun little thing I like to show is what happens when we bring shoes where shoes don't belong. Allow me to reset the game. Sorry, I'm choosing the number this time. Neener, neener. I promise it's worth it. There we go, there we go. Blumph! Yeah, the shoe is definitely not coded for underwater use, as you can tell.
But somehow it's still playable.
Yes.
To an extent.
It just kind of ignores the fact that of underwater physics, which is good because we need that to get there. But we can still continue on. And we can die in a very stupid way that only can be done in this panel, everybody. Yeah, except for some of you repeats, have you ever seen somebody die this way in Mario 3 before?
Nope.
There you go! It's cool! Mario 3, like I said, is not the only game that kind of has these kind of hidden away. Whether it's still in the final release of the ROM is dependent from game to game and how much functionality is in there. But you may not always need a cheat in order to... Where the heck are you?
I have one good example of a game that doesn't need a cheat.
What?
Sonic 1 on the Genesis.
Yes. You may or may not get to
One
that.
even more blatant is Mega Man 3.
Yeah.
It's very, very blatant.
Yes. Okay, so apparently my notes don't have that code. Boo! That's okay, though. We will still show off a different genre of game. Where are you? Aha. Who likes beat 'em ups? Yes! Final Fight 3, my friends. This one does have another cheat, so we kind of have to wrap around to it, but we're going to hold select, let the game boot up. Boom! So we have like a whole bunch of different settings here that correspond with their own needs. So some of them are available, and some of them are just completely unused, such as reserved -1. Has no bearing on anything. LNR recovery. Oh, there we go. Okay, LNR recovery here. We can press LNR and controller 1 to refill our health to full and set our lives back to 5 again, I believe. Time over display makes a number show up on the right side of the screen, incrementing when slowdown occurs. Enemy clash, that's a fun one. We're going to turn that one on and show it. Sound test, it activates a sound test, kind of like how some of the older Capcom games had it in their option menu. We add it back into the option menu. Stingy Capcom. A to P to full auto. So in this game, which is actually really cool, if you don't have a friend to fight alongside you, you can actually have an option to have a computer-controlled second player to join you. In this mode, you actually set it so both characters are controlled by the game's AI. And when I say AI, I am not talking about the crap AI. So every time super, I can do a super whenever I want, whether it tells me I want to or not. It ain't gonna tell me otherwise. I'm gonna do my super, dang it. We're gonna turn that on. I'm gonna turn that back on. And we have the very, very succinct and elaborate OMEM-DISP1:C edit. That corresponds to unknown. Probably had to do on more like development hardware. They could have yoinked it. Possible. Pause debug. So when you pause the game, we may show this off in a minute, but you pause the game and it'll show a version number, but we may also show more stuff. Pause no display. You like that word pause on your screen? Well, you get to take it off with that. There's a reason for that. End mark. is it's basically kind of a CPU usage meter, like a very basic one. So there's like a black bar that'll kind of go up and down depending on how taxed the computer is. So the developer can be like, hey, yeah, this is kind of using up way too much memory in this area. Let's not do that. BGM cut turns off all the in-game music except for the little pause jingle. Stage select. That's actually pretty cool. I will turn that on and not give context for a moment. Opening select. So if you press select while the intro is playing, you'll be taken to a menu where you can see all the different cutscenes and character profiles and stuff like that in the game. Animation test. During the Capcom logo animation, hold R to display the animation on a loop for as long as the button is held. I'm sure that had to do with other things, but surely you want to see things as riveting as the Capcom logo going over and over and over again, don't you? It won't be a classic anymore if you keep it up. Enemy free is basically there's no enemies or breakable objects or anything of the sort. So, and if you notice there's some actually some presets. So you can actually press one of those corresponding buttons, and you can select from debug. So let's do the switches on. So it's more for debugging the game. B for BG check, like background check, stuff like that. X full auto, probably test AI routines. And A, take a picture. Now, I will get into this a little bit more in game prototypes, which you should definitely hang around for because I'm going to be showing off a very breaking exclusive that I just found out about the other day as of this recording. But take a picture. So oftentimes, say if anyone remembers the old Nintendo Power magazines, how do they get that ready for the time when the game is released and the magazine is put out? Well, pre-release build. So what they could do is take a picture, so that way magazines or whoever were kind of doing their thing with it, they could take screenshots and they could just have the game pause. You wouldn't be any the wiser, and it would just look like good screenshots, and they could just kind of set them up easier. So that's what the take a picture option is for. It's kind of a more pre-release idea for like reviewers. Yes.
How did they get the pictures off of the Super Nintendo, or in this case, the development hardware?
Good question. I do not know because I do not know anybody who has worked in those magazines back then. Yes. Oh, sorry. I'll get to you next. Sorry.
Oh, well, back then, like between the 80s and 90s, they would have to physically use a camera, and usually with like some CRTs where they would reflect light, they would have like a box so there won't be any reflections.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
So that's how they did it.
Gotcha. Sorry. Yes.
I was gonna say that.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, but that's 1995, so it's it's much later. There's probably some device.
Yeah.
Like a Game Boy printer?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, most likely the Game Boy printer.
So let's get out of this mode and actually do things other than stare at a menu, shall we? I mean, it's good when you go into a restaurant, but not so much here. All right. So let's see. I want to. I'm gonna start the game. I like this guy. Let's do it. Hey, there's our stage select. This is actually a really cool stage select. So in Final Fight 3, they have like a branching paths mode kind of thing. So this thank you. So it takes a lot of effort to go to a stage. Okay, you know, I can't blame them.
They misspelled bonus.
Yeah, yeah, bonus. Yep. Yes.
What is their favorite console that's Android-based?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Favorite console that's Android-based? Can you play the sound bites? Ooh, yeah, okay.
Yes, but basically, yes, with a lot of effort. So you can see the arrows and it goes, so that can branch over to here, that can branch over to there. So it's kind of a cool little basic setup on different levels and where they're going. So like 4A, 4B, because you can go to a whole different places in this game. Could be.
It's a shitty PCM sample. It's kind
Yes.
of hard to tell.
So we'll go here to get started, and there's our build date right there. So it has to, so, yes. So basically, this one is so this is the US version. So essentially, this is 1995, October 18th at 11:21 a.m. So that's the actual date, the final build date of this game when they're like done. But when I press select from here, so we get a whole bunch of numbers. This is actually the whole like RAM display right here.
That's what I thought I was gonna.
Yes. And then you can choose which page you want to go to, up and down, up and down.
Good old hexadecimal.
Yes. I can select. Let's see. I hold select in L and press start. And I go back here again. So there's a neat little thing in here too that's kind of a little hiding thing. TR. Let's go to it. Boom. So we get all kinds of barrels, all kinds of food. This is lovely. So we're getting one of each item in the game. They're so generous. I love it. Yummy. Yasichi. Oh no, they're not generous. Here come all the enemies. Anytime super. Anytime super. Not. Anytime super. Take that. So they all die in one hit, basically, so... Whoop. Oh, gee. Yo, Joe. Whee! Little on the fritz now. Ray, bye-bye. I'm not going easy on myself. No, why would I do that? There's nowhere to go to because TR, I believe, is testing room. So this is just a little place they threw everything in there to make sure all the characters and enemies were working. So you're not actually supposed to access that in normal gameplay. Haha.
What's the code stand for? The 95101-811?
That's the build date.
Okay.
The build date and time. But one of my favorite ones, let me see, do I still have that in my notes? I do not seem to either, but that's okay. I actually kind of want to show off one I actually, through YouTube, through the magic of YouTube, I actually found one of the original developers for this particular game, and he actually told me the debug mode himself, which was very nice of him. This was years ago, but let's. So this is a rather obscure NES game called Ghoul School.
Wait, they had Mule on the NES?
Yes, they did.
Thought that was Commodore only.
Nope.
That's cool.
So this is kind of like a Metroidvania before the Metroidvania thing was a thing, really. And I found out about this game very late, and I was so mad that I didn't find out about this game. I actually tasked this game, and it was on the website for a short time. And it's still on my YouTube channel. So, Ghoul School! Just kind of show it real quick. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that, at least the artist, you notice how he kind of looks like one of the Simpsons characters in the NES Simpsons games? I have a feeling it's kind of the same artist. I haven't researched that yet, but just the art style looks very similar with the punk bike. Yes. Yes, it was. But yeah, I can go into the room. Find disappointment. So instead of finding disappointment, I would like to reboot this game and find... Let's see. Hi, debug mode. So you can actually input a button sheet for this and access it. And that button sheet, now that it's been years since it's been revealed, is B up, B left select. If you can tell that it's bubbles, there you go. So you can from here you can actually pick what room you start at. And let's see. There's lots of halls in this area. Air ducts, hall, classroom, many classrooms. Let's see. I want to... No, we're going to go to room 14. Oh, hey, what's that? I like that. We're going to get to that too, because that's cool. So let's see. I press select. So you press select and that little X beside the thing is a cursor. Panel is essentially what screen in the room you start on. So it's like, so if you have, say, a 7-screen room, then you can pick, you can go up and you can select the exact screen you want to start off at, which is actually pretty cool. I hadn't seen a lot of things that do that. And then sound is sound effect test and tune. It goes hard. So let's start. I want to kind of talk about this a little bit too. So this warp zone area. Now there's a small, very handful of games that whenever there was an error handler, in the case for this game, if you went off into like a place with an invalid exit marker, instead of crashing the game or something like that, it would redirect you to the warp zone. So that way, if a player stumbled upon it by accident using like a bug or something, it looks more like a feature. Because you don't want to crash the game, you're going to a warp zone. Dude, I found something cool in the game!
I'm on the city in the underground level.
Yeah, so this is kind of a catch-all screen for any screen that has invalid warp data in that part of the screen for the exit. So, similar games that have done this are Brawl Brothers on the SNES and Sonic 3D Blast, the 3D one on the Genesis. Okay, good. I'm not having a total brain cramp. Did something similar to that, where it's like, oh hey, intended warp zone. I think Mickey Mania did it too, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it was like a crash, and I was like, oh hey, woo, there you go. You have something?
Because it's involved with the crash handler, like on the CPU level, you can also trigger it just by like hitting your Genesis with a hammer.
Yeah.
Like I don't recommend that.
Yeah.
Cartridge filter.
Yeah, John Burton explained how exactly that worked, because basically it's if you hit the Genesis hard enough while Sonic 3D Blast or Mickey Mania is in it, it essentially tilts the cart a bit.
That's a very bad way of tilting a cart.
Yeah.
Very bad way.
I'd rather pull GoldenEye and just...
Yes. But anyway, so each of these areas will take you to a completely different part of the game, including the middle section. I actually utilized this very screen several times in the task itself. So you get to like the auto shop, the principal's office, and the near beginning of a blob, like the blob room. It's been a little bit since I've played through the game. With the stairs here, so, you know, Castlevania. The middle will take you close to where the end of the game is. And then on the right side will take you to an elevator area, the gym, and the library. So, oof. But also, I have every single item in the game, including the spring shoes, the suction cups, so you can stick onto stuff. So yeah, you actually do have a towel. A sandwich is a weapon in this game.
I thought it was a health boost.
This is a very quirky game. So yeah, where else can you have a game where you have a bat, a towel, embalming fluid, a spinal zap, which in a more kind of recently, really in the last year or two, they got a prototype of it. It is indeed a spinal tap. That is not Spinal Tap anymore, unfortunately, because Nintendo was like, no. And yeah, oh, and a sickle, the Grim Reaper sickle, yes. It is a very motley crew of weapons in this game. I like the towel, though. I do not like these eyes, Sam I am. But yeah, that's kind of how that whole thing is, so it's automatically added, you get the bonus apple. They're ready to test out the games all the way they want to. However, developers, much like you and I, like to have fun. And kind of do little things here and there. Please allow me to... There's a lot of NES stuff because that's kind of my area of expertise, so... kind of bear with me a little bit on it, but I'm gonna cheat a little bit. Close that out and reboot it back up. We're Super Nintendo one. How dare I? Okay, here we go. We will get to some of these in a minute, but let's get into Kirby's Adventure. Everyone likes Kirby, right? Kirby sucks, but in a good way. We love our Kirby. Look, low-hanging fruit, okay? It's still yummy. So let's get in here a little bit. Get to watch my very riveting gameplay. Actually, that was kind of cool that time. Alright, so now... Oop. Alright, that's gonna go away, so what we're gonna do is... Hello, Warpstar, how are you doing today? Hey, where'd you go? Aha, it's gone. Let's go exploring. What's this? Yeah, so this is actually the very first instance of a Hallow Room in Kirby. So they kind of snuck them in on different Kirby games and stuff like that, but this is the first instance. I like to think the Broom Hatter is here to just kind of keep it neat and tidy for your discovery. We thank you for your service. And notice that right up there. That, my friends, is a door we can't reach. Why is there a door here? Well, let's go back to the Warp Star for a second. Hello, Warp Star. It's due to the way Warp Stars are coded in the game. So essentially, the Warp Stars comprise of kind of like two different parts of it. It's like a very, very fancy screen exit. So the sprite kind of, like, you jump on the sprite and it does all the whee, as we professionally call it, and goes around the screen. However, it does have to be connected to some kind of door object or data in order to move on to the next screen. That's what that little door up in the way thing is for. So, let's see it in action. That moves us on to the next screen. Door should be somewhere. And that's what takes us to the next screen. That little door there. So it's kind of a way to kind of hide it off screen so the player doesn't catch wind of it. Pretty neat, huh? But sometimes... Oh, boy. So I gotta get to a personal favorite of mine. Sometimes the devs get very, very silly. So, the NES game Days of Thunder, based off of the movie. Woo! Alright, so, when I... So with a button sheet, we have a slideshow gallery. This is the DOT Days of Thunder gallery. The authors of this game wish you a very Merry Christmas. I added very for fun. This is where we work. Isn't it a nice place? The sun always shines here. Beam Software, everybody. This is Trevor. He is our project leader. Doesn't he look worried? So Trevor is Trevor Nureddin, who had previously programmed Beam Software's Back to the Future. You're welcome! This is Andrew 1. He did the pits in 2 weeks. That is why he looks this way. So Andrew 1 is Andrew Bailey, who would later go on to program Beam's Super Nintendo sound driver. This is Carl. He likes ABBA. Need I say more? Carl is Carl Muller, who would later go on to program Probe Software's SNES sound driver. This is Parrish. He is an idiot. He used to work on Days of Thunder. Notice the 6 rows of teeth in his mouth. So, yes, he could be. Parrish is Parrish Haywood. His only other credit in a game was for the NES game Nightshade, which is a pretty goofy little game. Check it out sometime. As well as a special thanks mention in the SNES version of MechWarrior. Very mysterious. Maybe he crawled back into a cave or something. I don't know.
Oops. They didn't like Parrish.
Apparently not.
I wonder if he went on to become really, really powerful and...
This is Gary. He is famous. He does not have any hands. Well, his writing could get better. Gary is Gary Liddon, who later moved to Probe Software as a programmer.
I wonder why.
Oh, I don't know. He programs with his feet, apparently. Andrew 2 says, Gucci for men of distinction. Andrew 2 is Andrew Carter, who was usually credited for production and programming. This is Jamie. Grr, 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 he goes. Across all arable land. Land that is tilled by Arabs. It was a product of its time. So, Jamie is Jamie Ribbit, who is another programmer for Beam Software. And then after we get done with Jamie, we get taken right back to the start again. And I have just shown you the most interesting thing in this game. You're welcome. Yes?
This is like a lot of data, in an NES game. Weren't they only 64 kilobytes or something?
Not necessarily. It depends on the mappers and the chips and stuff like that. I think some games could go up to roughly about 256K. But some of the original, Mario Brothers, only had that limited 64K of hardware. I'm not the best on specs and programming, I do admit. So if my information is wrong, feel free to slap me because I am the least informed programmer on the staff.
No, I think you're about right. Because that's how they got really high detail in some of the later games.
Yes.
Because I think the 6502 can only address so much space at a time, and well, they're trying to keep it cheap.
But I think we've had a lot of fun with this. Why don't we show off some unused graphic stuff? See the finer details of things that man was not meant to see. Ham will be served later. All right, so I'm gonna pop in here real quick.
Does the ham come with green eggs?
For an extra $4.95. Green eggs for $4.95. All right, so let's pop into YYCHR. This is just something I kind of like to pop it in. I love the cute sprites here. So let's see. So one article that myself and Rachel actually worked on some time ago is for the NES game Abadox. Has anyone happened to hear of that game by chance? Anyone heard of Life Force? Okay, cool. So essentially, like, the plot of Life Force was like a world-eating kind of thing that you went into, but it didn't look like you were kind of going inside of a thing. Abadox, you are very much going inside of a thing that is pretty much like an eldritch parasite being. You start in through the mouth, and no guesses on where the final exit ends.
Yep.
But I'm going to pop in here for a minute, and then I can show gameplay footage. And Abadox starts with A. So initially, when we actually boot this up, so this is kind of some cutscene. Oh, this part here is a little bit of cutscene data here. That's a tongue.
But I hate it.
Yeah, I do too. Trust me, you will too. So this right here is for introduction graphics, and so that's the eldritch being Parasitus. So essentially, at this point, it is a giant planet eldritch abomination with a giant mouth. Now, there's a couple of frames of animation for the mouth, kind of half closed and then closing. So we have that. Now, you probably already know where this is going. But let's go to the intro itself, shall we? I have shortcuts, so it's kind of easier to just close out of my game for messing than to just go.
The ramen loaded in?
Yes. Hang tight. There we go. We're not going to start halfway in the credits. Or halfway in the intro cutscene. We're going to do this. Spooky. Doom. Oh. Oh, fun fact. Those are wrong tiles completely. Those are wrong tiles, so that should be like the shift tractor beam thing, but it's actually graphics from level 1. They just errant tile usage. My best guess is this was a little bit rushed and they didn't get a chance to polish it up with that. So there we go. We send our Lieutenant Nazal into space. Look what isn't moving. The mouth is not moving. But we do have graphics for it in there. Currently, it's unknown whether there is any coding to actually animate the mouth. I can't imagine it could have been too hard, but it's the... Okay, we don't need to see that again. Creepy. I'm sorry?
It is what it is.
Yes. Good little game, but way too big of a hitbox for a shooter. For a shmup.
Way too big of a hitbox on the player character or the enemies?
Oh, player character, definitely.
Worse than Silver Surfer.
Is it as bad as ET
see.
on the 2600, though?
I don't know, honestly. But let me jump into... Not that again. I'm going to jump back into a little bit of a different game, because this is kind of neat. So, this is specific to the Japanese version of Mega Man 5, aka Rockman 5. So we're gonna kind of go down a little bit in the graphics. Bear with me because we gotta go down a bit of a ways. We got to get to the logo stuff. I'm gonna try to pick something a little less garish. I suppose let's see. Yeah, we'll just do that. Black and white for now. Get through here. Dig, 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 dig. Digital archaeology, anybody? Till we get to... Here we go. So we are at the title screen logo. So notice this little thing right here. Fairly insignificant, maybe not interesting. This is actually a small developer's note. So right here, I'm going to move the cursor a little bit so you can kind of see it better. So there is the OBJ, and there's a little arrow. Now, if you notice the Rockman logo right here, it's not quite complete, but they have it over here and mentioning it's an object. Essentially, what they're doing here is they had to do a little bit of trickery to get the full logo working on the title screen. So that little bit of the Rockman logo was actually changed into a sprite for the title screen, just to get everything to fit and working properly. So that developer's note is just letting them know, hey, that's actually a sprite instead of actually like background tiles. So then, when you get into, we will do this. We will get into Rock. Boot this up. Rockman 5. So then when we actually get into it, you're none the wiser.
It's that little piece on the 5, isn't it?
Yep. And it disappears, you're a none the wiser. You don't know that's a sprite, but the devs do. Haha! I have paid no attention to the man behind the curtain. Or do in my case. I don't care. But this one is going to have a little bit of historical context here, so bear with me.
There is a napalm man. That's cool.
There is.
Nothing like the smell of napalm in the morning.
Yes. Smelling. I think he likes to smell a little too much.
What?
Napalm Man likes the smell of napalm in the morning a little too much.
Oh, this is coming from the same person who wants to blow up a toilet with tannerite, so...
All right. So we have Snoopy Silly Sports Spectacular. So I'm going to go, I gotta dig a little bit in there. The sprites bit, where are we? So essentially this was kind of like a weird Olympic game on the NES. I think it was like a port of something on the Commodore 64, if my trivia guessing is correct, with the Snoopy license. The Snoopy license was only in America, though. Kemco actually had the Disney license in Japan mostly, so this was actually a Donald Duck game. So let's see, we're going to go down there a little bit more, and we have our good friend Charlie Brown here. So why don't we... I'll see you later. So let's go back. So I got the Snoopy game booted up. So those are the graphics for the Pogo event. One play select game. I'm gonna warn you right now that I am very, very good at this. Told ya. We're gonna try this a couple of times to see if we can maybe luck out. Ah!
Go.
I did one. All right. I beaten the original Ninja Gaiden and I can't do this.
I feel like it would probably be better on a CRT.
Yeah, probably.
Because video lag.
No, it's just...
There's really be a problem here because this is all like digital. So they can probably sync up a little bit better than...
Hey! Oh! Okay, so we won't look at that. Essentially, we don't have a Charlie Brown in this. So... But here in the graphics, we actually have a few Charlie Brown sprites. So my kind of prediction is that they were going to add Charlie Brown as kind of like a character at the end. Just kind of notice the like kind of thing, and he's looking at you from the right because we don't have any left. We don't necessarily have any left facing, but they could have just horizontal. No sense to horizontally flip it, to be honest. But I have a feeling Charlie Brown might have been at the end of it to kind of celebrate your victory or something. So, fun fact. So, the original iteration of the cutting room floor was actually part of Rachel's website. So, Rachel is effectively the owner of TCRF. And years ago, probably around like 2005,
That's when I was born.
Cool! I actually ended up digging into Tile Layer Pro, which is like an old version of this sort of thing here, and I found these Charlie Brown sprites and tried to submit it to our website. That never materialized, and the website didn't really get updated. So my immense curiosity led me to make a wiki called Debug Modes and Unused Stuff. So essentially, it was like a precursor to the cutting room floor, because as I mentioned before, I don't know a whole hell of a lot of programming stuff. But I figured if it was in a wiki format, then maybe people who do know what they're doing most of the time can kind of come in, they can throw their own input, and maybe get kind of a bit of a collection going. So I got a couple of people coming in, just kind of doing the best I could, including fellow TCRF admin Gold S, who might as well consider that name Gold Standard, because I am always in awe of their articles and just how thorough they are, and very appreciate their sense of humor. So suddenly, that's kind of initially where we got some of the Mega Man X and Mega Man X3 stuff, and kind of some things here and there, and then all of a sudden stuff stopped. So I kind of just kind of got curious, but one day I followed Goldust's YouTube back in the day, and there was a video for Kirby's Adventure for a site called The Cutting Room Floor. Curious, I went to it and found out that they were doing a wiki format too. And to cement the fact that they knew that I was kind of doing my things too, so fellow head Xkeeper had a very early page on their talk page called Pissing Contest, which basically showed stuff that my wiki had, theirs did it, and vice versa. So I'm like, you know what? Y'all know what you're doing. Here, have everything I have. And pretty much that's probably a big chunk that, and kind of helped fending off a spam attack. But that was kind of what sort of cemented me into my staff status on the cutting room floor. So later on, out of curiosity, I kind of asked, hey, was my thing the reason why you kind of made that a wiki? And it's like, yeah, that was kind of the thing that spurred us to do it. So I am responsible for the wiki format of today, in a way. So I am proud side uncle. So I kind of, they own it. I'm basically kind of, the kind of the person who's like, oh, you're so cute, you're getting so big, and pinches your cheeks and embarrasses the cutting room floor. But unfortunately, like I said, I don't really have a whole lot of time for day-to-day, but I like to come in and promote, so that's a little story I like to talk about because it's, I'm proud. And one last thing for TCRF-related things. Let me go in here, and we're going to go... I'm going to jump into this for a little bit. Gotta go down a ways. Gotta go down a ways. Mario 2. Okay, so we gotta kind of fuss around a little bit. Okay, hey, those are little sprite people. Gonna go down a little bit. And a little bit. We're gonna change let's a little bit. And oh, hey, who's that little fellow right there? Look at your card. Your card has unused content on it. That was an accidental. So yeah, this is actually a placeholder graphic right there. Just a little smiley face in the desert character sprites. That's all it is, but it's kind of, aside from the cactus, it's one of our little TCRF little mascots that shows up here, there, and everywhere. So it is on your card. Your card has unused content. Enjoy! But I kind of want to get back, because let's see, we still got a good, we still got a little bit of time for this one. So why don't I jump into a little thing. We work with Hidden Palace as well on game prototypes. So has anyone heard, does anyone know what I'm talking about with a game prototype? Raise it. Cool. For the uninitiated, essentially game prototypes are kind of the term that we prefer to use for a beta.
Pre-release.
Yeah. So generally, we use prototype as a catch-all for any point in development instead of calling a game a beta, because a beta tends to refer to a specific point in the development. So we just use prototype for like a catch-all for any part in development. And I'm a little insistent on the term, but I understand why people still call it that anyway. So if it does say that it is a beta version on it, then yes, technically that is true. That is a beta version. But one of the first examples to really gather public interest in the topic was in Sonic 2. So, kind of a fun fact with Sonic 2, a lot of it was primarily developed in America as a kind of a tandem project with American developers and Japanese developers in Sega. So that's why there's like far more prototypes of Sonic 2 released than any other version on the Genesis. So, but this one right here, so this, go in here. Yeah, I got a cool little selection. I might dive into one of them in a minute, but, so kind of the most historically significant is called the, I'm probably going to mispronounce it, the Simon Y prototype. It was named for the person who actually found the ROM and posted it on their GeoCities page. Of very, very much yesteryear. And so this prototype was named after him and generally just kind of kickstarted the interest in game prototypes. Because even though they were leaked back in the day, people more wanted finished games instead of the prototypes. So like the historical significance, nobody cared about that. I want to play the dang game when it's ready to go back then. My, how attitudes have shifted. But notice how very early that is. So we have some chemical plant zone. Let's see. I'm sorry? Let me actually, I see your hand. I'm trying to turn the sound down because it's making me deaf. Yes, I'm sorry.
Like, I can tell how early it is, like, there's no animation of, like, Sonic and Tails hopping out of the ring, and, like, it reuses the music from, like, the Sonic 1 title.
Yes! Exactly, yeah, because this is very much built on Sonic 1. I can get to that in just a moment, too. But let me see if I can get the debug mode working.
Is that why two-player mode likes so much real hardware?
Having a little trouble with my C button. Oh, I started the game. Oops. Okay, let's reset. All right, let's soft reset. Bear with me for a moment. I'm going to make sure my controls are proper. I have a feeling that somehow my controller is being a little bit funk here. Left, right, A, B, C, start, X, Y, Z, mode. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. All right, I think we got it now. So notice how we have a ton of levels in here. Some cut levels, some not, some finished, some not.
Green Hill Zone.
Yes, that one's Emerald Hill Zone at the moment. But, so this is a very, very unfinished zone here, Wood Zone. Good job. But yeah, for context, this does not have too much going on in the level because, notice that, then we got conveyor belts and, oh hey. Oops! And then you have some that, like Dust Hill Zone, that one's Mystic Cave Zone in the final, Casino Night Zone, Genocide City Zone. So basically the reasoning for that name is that the Japanese devs decided to pick a very dangerous name and vastly overshot.
Like how in the US they made the Sonic CD soundtrack Nightmare Fuel.
Yes, but let's see what happens if we go in it. Let's check out Genocide City Zone. Fool! It lives up to its name! Let's check out something different. Fact. Let's check out the final area of the game. This time shall be different. It's not different at all, is it, Steve? Ha ha!
Different, but that's about it.
Yes. It also cuts the sound off. Yes.
Do they have the special zone?
I forget. Let's find out.
I don't think I saw it.
That's their special stage. No. I am pressing start for context.
Neo Green Hill Zone. That name would actually be used in Sonic Chaos, I believe, on the Game Gear.
Yes. Also, yeah, the Death Egg Zone just cut out the music and sound completely. But yeah, it's basically Aquatic Ruin Zone. But why don't we go into an earlier build of it? This is one of my personal favorites of Sonic 2. Where did you go? The Nick Arcade prototype. Is anyone old enough to know what Nick Arcade is? Beautiful. So Nick Arcade was a show on Nickelodeon that was a video game themed game show. And actually, fun fact, Phil Moore was one of the first African-American game show hosts because of that game. But yeah, no, like 6 or 7-year-old me seeing it on Nickelodeon back in the day, just thought this was awesome. And especially they get to go into the video zone, which it's green screen stuff. But when you're a kid, you don't know that's green screen stuff. You think they're actually going into a game. Damn it, I want to go into the game too. I want to be in the video game. So, the Nick Arcade prototype. So on the show, in the show, occasionally there would be spaces on a, like on a grid they'd move a character to, and some of them would be a video challenge. They actually got hold of an incredibly early build of Sonic 2 that was just under absolute lock and key for one of these video game challenges. So a contestant would have about 30 seconds to meet or beat, say, like a point value or, in this case, a ring count. So 25 rings in 30 seconds. And you will very clearly see... Thank you. Not that. you will see that it's very, very, very clearly built off Sonic 1. We are still using Sonic 1 music for this.
Marble Zone.
Yes. Chemical Plant Zone. The stage select and debug modes are using their Japanese cheat codes for that. So let's... Rude. So Starlight Zone is basically the first zone in the game. So notice how Tails isn't present here. So basically why they did that was so, in the challenge, there's a bug in the game where Tails can actually, if Tails gets hit by an enemy, he loses all the rings for you. Which, if you're doing a game show and a video game challenge, that sucks. So they just took Tails out for this stage, so you could do your video game challenge for that. Oh yeah, that's a little mechanic that didn't survive past this build. That's a bug that never got fixed. Yet. Let's see. Up. There we go, stage select. The stage select is still the same, everybody. So that was Starlight Zone. And let's see, Marble Zone we know as Chemical Plant Zone. Kind of show that off. Until this ROM was released, these were the only screenshots that we had of like the pink palette for the chemical plant background there. Green Hill Zone is... Oh! It's still there! But the map collision is buggy! It's updated.
This should be where score is supposed to be.
He's doing the Russian dance.
Pain! Scrap Brain Zone is... Hilltop Zone. Also, fun fact. That's just recolored Emerald Hill Zone graphics. You're welcome.
Reused.
Recolored. Yes.
Yeah, they just changed the color.
Yes. Labyrinth Zone. Potentially Genocide City Zone. And for the sake of brevity, Springyard Zone is the deleted Hidden Palace Zone. So it made it pretty far and kind of got tweaked, but they just kind of ran out of time to really work with this. But this is the only other zone that has Badniks in it. Yeah, so that bouncing back when hitting a wall too fast, that mechanic, that was quickly axed. So it's only present in this particular build.
I'm guessing playtesters kept running into too many badniks with it.
Yeah, it was probably irritating players too much. This right here, there's a Tails 1-up. So this was also in the Simon Y build still. And so people saw this as like, oh hey, Tails was supposed to be the original guardian of the Master Emerald. And then this being Hidden Palace Zone. And we'll get to this point here. There's a fan theories abound back in the day that Tails was supposed to be the guardian of the Master Emerald instead of Knuckles. This was debunked because that was just supposed to be a breakable object. The Tails 1-up is a result of kind of switching around all the kind of like the monitor data and what does what. So, like, say if you had like a little table and 0 is nothing, 1 is rings, 2 is the shoes, for example. They just redid the whole thing so they're all different things, and that's just what happened to be there.
It's supposed to be when you hit it.
It still works as a 1-up. It's just it's like a 1-up for Tails instead of a 1-up for Sonic. But it's just if you're playing as Tails. But yeah, plenty of theories were abound. But I think that's enough for Sonic. I kind of baited y'all a little bit and kind of was telling you of a breaking prototype reveal that I just found out the other day. Shut your mouth, Snoopy. Oops. It's not for Sega. My friends, this is the very, very, very recently released prototype of Punch-Out.
Damn.
So it was bought in auction for $45,000. And it was originally found when one of the devs sold it in a garage sale. So it's kind of unusual. Frank Cifaldi kind of goes into a little bit better detail than I can, but it's almost like a retail release set up for some reason, which is extremely unusual of prototypes. But the person who bought the game was gracious enough to release the ROM publicly. So we thank this anonymous donor very much. So basically, yeah. There is absolutely no sound programmed in the game at all, for starters. And his trainer, it's a little kind of worked on with the English, but it's you to fight. And so we actually have mentions of Pizza Pasta, who showed up in the arcade version. Rocky Head and Mongol Khan, we kind of don't really know who they are. There's no character data for them. In fact, not all of the boxers are in there. Vodka Drunkinsky is the arcade name version of Soda Popinski. Changed for censorship, but and Piston Hurricane instead of Piston Honda, exactly. So I think they might have been going for a little bit more of the arcade characters here. There is the password system implemented, but it's different enough where the passwords in the final don't actually match the passwords for the proto, so you can't like exchange them or anything. So there's only 4 boxers that actually kind of show up here. Actually, yeah, I'm actually cheating on this one because I couldn't get by the original one. King Hippo is one of them. I'm actually using a cheat to get there. And there's a lot of not polished stuff in here. Notice how he doesn't open his mouth when he comes in. Except for that part. And so the animations are a little bit rougher. Whoops. A little bit harder to dodge for some reason, too. Wow.
Yo, that looks like my dad.
Oh! I'm glad your dad isn't here to hear that.
Oh, I'd bash on him in person too. Don't worry about it.
But you actually do start with Glass Joe, of course. And so they're kind of in, like, some of the boxers are in various states of development. You can fight in order him, Balt Bull, King Hippo, who we just saw, and Don Flamenco. Kind of more the, like the second time you fight him in the World Circuit. Notice we get a lot more stars out of Glass Joe. Yeah, and his going back and taunting is a little bit different too. And if you actually do get hit, you actually lose 2 stars instead of 1. Yes. I plan on finishing this fight. Glass Joe will no longer glass. Wait.
No, he will. Just not solid glass.
Bwaff. The stars do kind of less damage, too, on the whole. Bwaff. Down, boy. Good boy. Je suis Glass Joe. Ha ha.
Yo, I'm Canadian French.
Oh, no, he's French.
Oh.
Very French.
Like, he's like,
ho, ho.
Revolution French.
Yeah, Parisian.
Baguette.
Yes. There we go. He down. I win. Thank you, crowd, for cheering. You're our wonderful audience.
Thank you, Vaguely Mario Shake.
There we go. I like this crowd cheering instead.
Thank you, Vaguely Mario Shaped.
We can do that.
That's the person.
Yeah. We got Bald Bull here, and pretty much the only thing you can really do is uppercut. Yeah, that's literally his only move, uppercutting.
He doesn't have enough hair for that.
Yeah. He doesn't even have his bull charge. I'm gonna reset quickly, but I want to quickly grab on my phone. Von Kaiser, Great Tiger, and one other boxer are very much not very programmed in the game. So let me kind of play with my cheats. Column 2. Row 4. Perfect. It makes sense in my notes. Mr. Sandam! Yeah, from Ah! So pretty much, this is actually my first time trying out Mr. Sandman here, believe it or not. Sandam, excuse me, yes. Damn. Oh, he's constipated.
I like how little that just looks tiny compared to him.
Yeah.
Fight.
He is.
Small but short but feisty.
It's like, it's kind of a soft lock, but essentially, Mr. Sandman is too constipated to continue. I win!
Either.
Nah, just punch him hard.
Win by CKO!
Nah, just punch him hard enough and the gun will come out.
Yes!
Either he's constipated or he's trying really hard not to let it go.
Yes. I'm going to try to speed run. I technically have 5 minutes, but if I'm impeding on somebody else, I'm going to try and do this. But one prototype that I do particularly enjoy, I'm kind of going to quickly go through this one since I've gone through a lot at this time. So, Monster in My Pocket. So if anyone's familiar with the 90s, little rubber monster collectible figurines. And also kind of the reason why Pokemon is called Pokemon in America and not called Pocket Monsters. Thank you. But yeah, this is actually a Konami developed game, developed by the same team that did the NES Kid Dracula game. So we can choose, yeah, 1 or 2 players. We have Vampire or the Monster. I will choose Vampire. And I'm going to try and speed run through this a little bit. Unfortunately, we're going to have to cut the riveting dialogue this time. Absorb it and just kind of absorb everything as I rush through this. Yes, the key to victory. Also, this game was also another one of the video challenges on Nick Arcade as well. Notice how we kind of have like if you think back to Chippendale Rescue Rangers, how we kind of have the big everything and the little monsters. They did that pretty good in this game. And there's also a double jump in this game too. And you can play local 2-player co-op. Back, 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 back. I feel like a hedgehog.
Blue streak, sweet
Yeah.
spot.
Thank you.
Sonic
the Hedgehog.
Alright. Not bad. But I win!
Yay!
And so quickly now, we're going to go into the prototype. So the cool thing about this prototype is that it's actually a build from about 8 or 9 months before the game was actually released in January of 1992. Notice a very informative demonstration mode. So yeah, we have the early logo, 1 player. So we can choose from 1-1, 1-2, 1-3. Those are the only levels that are actually programmed into the game, which is the reason why I showed the final for that. So we'll start with that. We can choose 1 or 2 player, Vampire the Monster. Call out differences as you see them.
I think those enemies like the one up on the radio.
So what looks different from the retail version?
Brightness signs at the bottom right.
Yes. Good call. Notice the lack of key object as well.
Yeah.
No parallax scrolling.
True that. There you go.
Stout sprites.
Yes. Oh, why don't I pause the game? So yeah, we already have a free roaming mode, but the sprites go with me too. But you can trap them in walls if they irritate you enough.
Everybody can come along.
Different attack animation too.
Yes, good call. What was that? I'm sorry. It could be. It could be a CPU usage meter too. I think that's what it is, personally. And we're gonna choose this fellow right here. And we have.
Oh yeah, they just use the border of the Frankenstein box.
Yep. Called the Monster in the final version.
Well, I mean, that would be technically more accurate than calling him Frankenstein,
Right. Yes.
given the lore.
I will add, this part is programmed. I do not know if the, plowing through enemies is actually coded in that yet. Because there's nothing to buff. Yes. Notice the palette of the flying enemy there is actually yellow in the final version. That. Yay! You can do 2-player if you want to. I haven't done it yet, but... And 1-3. Come here. Thank you.
The Knife Man.
Yes. Different mask. I win!
Wow,
Congratulations.
Thank you! So the the reason I like to show off this prototype, and I will kind of end it on this note. You're gonna go into my game data. Let me see if I can go into my data a little bit. MISC. lot of games. Haha. So I wanted to show this off. So there's 2 prototypes right here. That one is the unreleased in Japan NES Strider. So that's actually the Famicom version in Japanese and everything. And that is the Monster in My Pocket proto that I just showed off here. I am the owner of those protos.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah, so the previous owner was a friend of mine, and she graciously released the ROMs when she got them. When she got out of game collecting, I purchased some games that she had for my collection that I didn't have yet, and she threw those in. So those are at home, safe and sound. I am more than willing to give out the ROMs to anybody who has even a passing thought of those, because game history should be shared and preserved as far as I'm concerned.
I can stand that.
And you know, I mean, I could have Nintendo World Championships, or I could have stadium events. These are way cooler, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So with that, I want to thank you all again for coming and spending some of your con time with me. Thanks for bearing with me through the things. Give yourselves a round of applause. I always love having you every time. Thank you so much for coming, everybody.
Remember, thank you. If buying isn't owning, piracy is not stealing.
Arr.